What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am just home and in the door, fresh from Dublin's 3 Arena, where I was at No Turning Back, the Queensbury boxing event, with a headline feature: Pearse O'Leary trying to defend his IBO Super Lightweight title against Mark Chamberlain. Fortunately, he didn't manage to pull it off. I was going to do a reaction video, a recap of the night's highlights from ringside, but it was a little bit chaotic in there, so I got myself out of there. And unfortunately, I left one pair of glasses there, prescription glasses. I do have a second pair, thankfully, but yeah, now I got to go and chase them up. But I thought I would just sit down and give you guys a little recap of what it was like to be there on the night and what were the highlights of the evening. So this was the first in one of three big events happening in Dublin over the next few weeks. Obviously, a week from now, Zuffa Boxing are back in the exact same arena, and then just 3 weeks down the line after that, you've got Katie Taylor headlining in Croke Park. So in the land of professional boxing in Ireland, this is just insane, having this flurry of high-level professional shows. And of course, just a couple of weeks after Katie Taylor fights, we're going to have another big show in the National Stadium here in Dublin, so for that next wave of fighters building their way up. JB Promotions putting on a big event on September 26th. So tonight was the sort of first instalment of that window of showcase nights and really big stages for a lot of the Irish fighters. And Pearse O'Leary had the opportunity to become the first Irish male world champion to defend his world title since, I believe, Jordan Burnett back in... was it 2018, something like that. So the last fighter from the Republic, I think, is even longer. Might have even been back as far as Steve Collins. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out. But he was looking to become the first one to do that. I know we've had a few people recently, like Lewis Crocker, of course, won a title, but came up short in the defence against Liam Parrow down in Australia. So Pearse was looking to mark out his own little bit of history, and it was an epic battle. It really was. Pearse ends up getting stopped in the 10th, which is really unfortunate. It was just a blood and guts type battle. Someone was going to get stopped. It felt like that. The fight started off very well for Pearse. He does what he does. He gets in the face of his opponent and starts putting the pressure on. I thought he did enough to nick round one. We got into round two. He lands a big shot. I believe it was an overhand right. Haven't seen any replays of these shots, so I might be off with some of my recaps here, but he caught Chamberlain and kind of rocked him. And I think he got wide-eyed at that stage and kind of went for the kill too eagerly. He walked onto a big, I believe, straight left hand from Chamberlain, ended up on the canvas. He was down again in the third round, so at that point you could feel the tension rise in the 3 Arena, because he had such a big welcome into the arena by, you know, the home crowd. Just a massive reception, and then getting put down 2 rounds in a row. It wasn't looking good at that point. People were on tender hooks in the place, but he seemed to pick it up again. You know, he started getting back on the front foot, putting it on, and he put Chamberlain down later in the fight. I cannot remember for the life of me which round it was. I could hazard a guess at 6 or 7. But a beautiful body shot in the corner, put Chamberlain down, and then it was like, okay, we're back on track here now. So, you know, even though he was winning rounds, having shipped a couple of 10-8s earlier, we weren't really sure, you know, he might still be some way to go to get back ahead on the scorecards. But in my eyes, then, going into the latter part of the fight, the momentum was with Pearse O'Leary, but unfortunately for him, Chamberlain lands big strike and puts him down in the 10th. And live by the sword, die by the sword. When you fight with that sort of marauding style, when you put yourself directly in front of your opponent and try to really make him fight off the back foot, that's the risk that it carries. You know, you got to pay the price for it sometimes when things go wrong. But look, Pearse is a warrior. He'll be back, and he's proved that he belongs at that level. He moved now to, I think, 19-1, so that's a hell of a strong resume he's got. He's been in there with some really good guys, you know, and he'll be stronger for this. So let's see where he goes from here. Other fights on the card worth shouting out. I mean, there was plenty happening. There was a lot of showcase fights. We saw some people like Sean McComb and Bobby Flood, Adam Melanian getting wins in showcase fights that would have been expected to win. So I won't waste my time waxing too lyrical on those. Plenty of other people will do that. There was a couple of more competitive fights, a couple of very competitive domestic fights. The first of the evening was Gary Cully and Lee Reeves, and this turned out to be one of the most sensational live fights I've ever seen. Now, there was a 10th round knockout. Gary Cully put Lee Reeves down in the 10th round, and it was a bad one. And I believe, I don't want to speak on the condition of Lee, but I believe it's not great. You know, he was down and he was out for quite a long time, and you know, a big win for Gary, a comeback win, because I think Lee Reeves was after putting in the best performance of his career. It was the first time he'd stepped up to that kind of level, and he was delivering, and he was on his way to winning the fight, and unfortunately got stopped in the 10th. The other big domestic fight on the card was Stephen Cairns and Senan Kelly. So Stephen Cairns coming in at 14-0, and he's fought most of his career. You know, he moved across to England and fought a lot of his pro career over there. You know, he's in great hands. He's in under the guidance of David Caldwell, and he's putting together a serious resume. But comes in here 14-0. I looked at the records, and Senan, you know, Senan's been in there with some good guys, like a win over Declan Geraghty and a couple of titles here in Ireland as well. This would have been the biggest test of Stephen's career, and Stephen passed it with flying colours. He got the stoppage win. I believe it was the 5th, maybe 6th round, I think 5th. And you could have a debate about the stoppage, and I think on another night when there hadn't been a bad stoppage earlier in the card, the fight might have been allowed to continue, but I think Stephen Cairns was showing what he's all about. He looked sensational. His jab was fast, just quality, just elite quality. I had the privilege of speaking to him, actually. He was the one fighter I did actually get a post-fight interview. I kind of couldn't peel myself away from ringside most of the night, but I did take a few minutes to speak to Stephen, and that'll be up on this channel shortly as well. Lovely guy. Looking forward to seeing where he goes next. He's talking of fighting possibly in the Marquee in Cork. You know, he's a Cork man, so that would be a superb homecoming for him. Outside of that, then, I mean, the rest of the card certainly delivered. Like I said, plenty of showcase moments, some good stoppages. Bobby Flood in particular with a really good one. Just a dominant win over Tariq Davis, and really good to see a lot of Irish fighters getting their hands raised tonight. But like I said, Pierce O'Leary, he will be back. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did watch it, if you didn't, you missed out on a good one. All eyes turn to Zuffa Boxing next week. We've got a handful of Irish guys on the card there. I'm looking forward to that one, and I'm looking forward to actually getting to chat to a few of the guys during the week. So I believe we're going to get some one-on-one time with some of the fighters when Zuffa are doing their pre-fight media stuff. I think Wednesday during fight week. So interesting times in Irish combat sports. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much. If you watched the fights, I hope you enjoyed them. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.